That's okay because it might be also that you're in a lot more triggers because you're in a clearing process. So, um,
Mm,
if we look at, and depending on where we're at in our cycle of development, if we're in a clearing process, we're going to be more in triggering, trigger, because you've
mm,
got to release that density. Whereas when you're going through a purification process, which comes after that space, you're going to be having a lot more activations and moments of embodiment and solidification of what you've just moved through. So it
yeah.
may just
Okay.
be that at the moment, the awareness for that, it's not that they're not there, but you're more in like the majority of the energy is this clearing, purge. And the, those cycles of our evolution will shift and change, and depending on where we're at. So they get smaller and smaller the more you move up the spiral until that, that I do believe that there is a 0 point where you just become that point because I'm seeing it more and more within my own life. So when you're those circles, it's like the purge and the activation then can be coexisting at the same time. But it
Mm,
depends on where we're at within ourself and what we're moving through. So just gives a little bit more acceptance, right? There was nothing wrong with like, I don't, maybe I misunderstood. It's just maybe that you're really in this. And then when you move down and a month or a couple of weeks or however long down the track and you're in this purification part, then you revisit this video and go, oh, I need that
mm,
process for the activation because I'm in a different part of the cycle of my experience at the moment. Um,
mm.
does that make sense? Yeah. And when we're in these
Mm.
cycles, then we can just have more acceptance for what's moving through rather than like judging it and just
Yeah, totally.
working with it. The other
Mm,
piece that I did want to share, because I feel like anyone who's still on that may be working with the sacral chakra. So currently, majority of the women in this container are going through either a clearing or a purification of the sacral, and the sacral chakra, when you start to go, when it activates and you start to clear, your estrogen levels will rise, right? Because most women are pretty disconnected from their femininity. Most women have been in their masculine expression. If you're a single mum, there's a do. It's just the way society has created it, and the protection mechanisms depending on our childhood experience. So, what happens for the body to assist in the reconciliation of the sacral chakra is your estrogen levels will rise so that you can emotionally release and purge. And there'll be imbalances that sit within that sacral chakra in relation to the clearing. So, that all with what your naturopath was sharing makes total sense to the energetics and to what's really taking place on the light body expression and so a lot of I don't think I've spoken into this in depth, but I wanted to, but I'll just really briefly speak into it. Is a lot of womb when you're going through the clearing of the womb, you may have like cystic ovaries or period pain. So as the sacral chakra clears, you will have different things that maybe you've never experienced, like your bleeding cycles will shift to either the moon, or you might have two period cycles in 1 month, and you can have candida, and you can have a lot of UTIs. You can have all sorts of things that have shown up because that's your body naturally bringing up and purging through the densities that are there, and the triggering of because majority of women hold their trauma in their sacral chakra. The triggers are very they're there. They're just everywhere because you've got the parenting ones. So anywhere where you are a mum, and then anyone anywhere that you're still got your mother wound. Then you also have parental figures. You also have when you were born in the womb space. So all of the things that you've imprinted from your birth in that conception period all sit in your womb space. All of your sexual relationships, you hold their energetic signatures until you clear out all of that stuff. Hooks and cords and threads, not to mention the past life karmic sexual stuff. It's really, there's so much in that space, and for the clearing to take place, it can be quite intense period of, if you've been someone that's challenged to be emotional or feminine or in your flow, you're going to get poked in so many different ways to start to bring that aspect of yourself up to be witnessed. So it's a gift of here's your femininity, but it's also like very, very uncomfortable and quite challenging. And the things around the patriarchy will come up, and where you've been disempowered, and a lot of anger and rage. And so that chakra in itself is something that I do want to speak into for even if you've already done your womb work, really getting clear for individuals in your field that you're going to be supporting and healing when they're in that, and then also what the purified expression of the womb looks like. So